Pranam Partho.
Pranam.
So we discussed one of the things last time, which was around Gita in our day-to-day life. What inspirations can we draw? How can we live better? Some lessons and learnings from Gita. Some of our community friends are running businesses, startups, large established businesses. Focus on their customers should benefit, their employees should benefit. There are different, sometimes conflicting, but different causes they are driven by. If we were to take any learnings and inspiration from Gita, how would a businessman learn from it and bring some learnings from it and do their business better?
The Gita can be used as an inspiration, as a tool almost, as a practice tool in one's business, any action, any activity actually, in any work. So we have to understand three principles of the Gita and see how we can apply it to our day-to-day lives and work, including businesses. But the first, I got it Mahavakya of the Gita. The first great statement of the Gita. The first Mahavakya is, yoga is excellence in works, excellence in action, excellence in execution. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. That for me summarizes the entire approach to one's work. And not just work, any action that one undertakes to do. So that's the first mantra. To attain excellence in whatever you do. Now, this of course also means that you have to attain excellence in what you are. Now, you cannot attain excellence in what you do without first attaining a degree of excellence in what you are. And actually, I feel that the two complement one another. Sort of a virtuous loop that is set up. The more excellence you attain in your being, the more excellence you attain in your doing, and vice versa. So you have to find the key to what is this excellence of being and what is this excellence of doing. Of course, at one level, its excellence would be how well you do a thing. The skills, the attention to detail, the consciousness with which you do something. All that will go into your understanding and attainment of excellence. Now, what excellence is, in itself is a whole conversation. It takes a lot of deep inner understanding to even begin to come anywhere close to excellence. If we go back to the Gita, there are indications of how this excellence is to be attained, which takes us to the next yogic principle of the Gita. The quieter your mind, the more focused you are. It goes without saying. So one of the principles of the yoga of the Gita is to come to this quiet and intense focus of the mind, to attain a degree of concentration of the mind. Is a mind that has no distraction. So what are these distractions? The distraction of your preoccupation with results is a distraction. The major distraction, the principal distraction, the source, I think, of all distractions has to be identified and eliminated. And that, according to the Gita, is the ego, karta bhav, the belief in personal doership. I am the one who's doing all this. And that I and me and mine, that limits my doing. That limits my consciousness, my intentions, my thoughts, my actions. Somehow understand that none of us is the doer. Things are being done through us. Now that again, then you gradually begin to understand that we are all instruments. First, we are instruments of nature, Prakriti. Then we are instruments of the divine, Vishwara. So again, that's a whole conversation by itself. Excellence in being and excellence in becoming, excellence in action, in doing, through a quiet, concentrated mind, which has come to understand that it is not the doer, it's just an instrument. And it can be an instrument in the hands of the divine, a cosmic instrument. And the next principle of the Gita, which is if all that is happening, then it's easy to come to the understanding that whatever the outcome of our actions, the outcome of work, that's not in our hands. It's outcome goes way beyond personal concern. It's an outcome of every action, from the smallest to the largest action, is so much a cosmic thing. So much more is involved in this. So many other moving parts. Each action of ours is impacting so many other people, so many other forces, and it's a cosmic web, as I always say, a cosmic web of causes and effects, and everything that we are doing is continuously impacting everything else. So what the outcome will be of our action is beyond us to understand. So the Gita says, don't try to understand, don't be so concerned about what the outcome is going to be. Focus on action itself and try to attain excellence in the action. And of course, for that, try to attain excellence in your being. You become more and more concentrated in the action. So when you put all these together, the four principles that I'm talking about, the way of the Gita in action, in work, in businesses, if you truly understand the nature of the world that we live and work in, the nature of the universe.
One of our previous talks, we had covered this, and where we talked about free will or not. We covered this cause and effect at multiple levels. So I see that concentrated mind, and not as an example, one of the distractions you mentioned is attaching with the result or the outcome. That's one of the key teachings of Gita. Karam kiye ja, phal ki chinta mat kar. One of the things any large business has to do, if it's listed on a stock market or if it's funded by some investors, is to predict what revenues, profitability, and business growth they're going to do next quarter, next year, next 5 years. A CEO's performance is judged by what he or she predicts and whether he or she does better than that for most part. So they have to really get into the quarterly numbers, that in a quarter you've grown by 5% or 50% or X number. And they have to predict it and then match it. If they say something and not achieve it, then they're thrown out. Okay? Not attaching with the result is a slightly harder and conflicting thing to do in a business, because you have some stakeholders or the whole system, capitalism, listing, stock markets, your investors, work in a way where they are attached with the outcome, or at least they so do. And they may not be as driven by Gita, they may not be driven by as much of consciousness, or they may not be, as aware of such things.
There is the dharma of the work that you're doing. And there is the dharma of the execution of that work. Let's understand these things first. Now you're running a business where you need to plan your next quarter, your next 2 quarters perhaps. The dharma of the work means that this particular kind of business that you're doing necessarily involves planning for a future based on the results of the past, where you have to understand the patterns, understand the data that you have accumulated over the years, and predict based on that. And you have to take into account the environment, the markets that you're functioning in. So it's a complex business. And
Correct.
So you have to take all that into account to determine whether your business will not just survive in the future, but will flourish in the future. So you have to plan. That's the dharma of the work. If your business demands that you plan, you plan. You apply your fullest intelligence, undistracted intelligence. That's what the Gita teaches us. Undistracted intelligence. So Gita is telling you, plan for your business, but when you plan, excellence in your planning, no distraction. Use the best of your intelligence to figure out how you need to plan, and plan with only one lakshya, one aim in mind, which is the best possible for your business. So all that is dharma of the work. And the dharma of execution, do all this as perfectly as you can without thinking what's going to happen. Now, there you're not a businessman. As a businessman, you're planning what's going to happen. Yes, of course, you're concerned with what's going to happen. Not just 5 years, you're concerned what's going to happen. You're concerned with the next quarter. And to plan well for the next quarter, you have to be concerned with what's going to happen next week. The dharma of the work itself, that's how you do it. But now when you're executing that dharma, you're running the business, then it's only up to you and the divine within you. There, you don't bring yourself in. There, you are an instrument. So there you say, Krishna, I'm planning this as best as I can for you. This is my offering to you. My excellence in action and in being in action is my offering to you. Work through me. I open myself to you. Teach me how to do this work better. Teach me how to do it excellently. Expand my intelligence to understand all the moving parts, all the dynamics, all the forces at work. Business is complex. Teach me, where am I going wrong? So this has to be understood very clearly to understand the way of the Gita. There's the dharma of the work and there's the dharma of the execution. And we can't confuse the two.
Just try to, and a practical question from today's world, most people would just be doing a job for the sake of doing a job.
I mean, when Krishna was bringing the jnana of the Gita to Arjun, he was not doing it to Arjun's army, not even to his generals. Actually, not even to Yudhishthir. The divine within, Krishna within, will give to you the key to excellence, the art of excellence. Krishna will bring to you the excellence. He will open you to excellence. He will prepare you for excellence. You will, of course, have to do the groundwork, which is why you're called a sadhak. But he who's making you do the groundwork, who's taking you towards that excellence through every single act, your day-to-day acts, is your divine Sarthi. Now you will have to understand that, assimilate that wisdom that is coming through to you, the wisdom that is coming to you, the light that is coming to you from him. You have to assimilate that, process that, and then transmit that to those who are working with you, your team. That makes you a leader. And that makes you, because you're in the sadhana of the Gita and you're receiving the light and the wisdom from your inmost source, it makes you an enlightened leader. Not just a leader of men and not just a leader of humans and human processes. You are an enlightened leader. You're now going to reach deep into those who are working with you, your team members, your associates, your business partners, shareholders, whoever. Reach deep into them quietly. You can't talk about it. Quietly, with the force and intensity of your being, you have to reach into them and pull out their excellence to the front. As yours is being pulled out by your inmost being, you have to pull out their excellence, make them better than what they are. Give them that faith, that shraddha in themselves, that you can do it, together we'll do it. And you push them. You don't come, and the most leaders come to the front. I am lead. No, that's not the Gita. The way of the Gita. You're in the background.
Let's say we're trying to be conscious, following these three principles and more, and doing the best we can. But there are at times asuric forces around us, which could be a competitor, could be any other, not a well-wisher, etc. Let's say a competitor does something borderline illegal, but some corporate espionage, and figures out our plan and discloses something to someone, or steals something from us, say intellectual property or something. As in the example, let's say I'm the CEO of the business. Now, either I can do a bunch of things that come to my mind. One, I could do something similar against them, that this is how the world works. If they do something wrong, I have to do the wrong back to them. Say corporate espionage. I'm just making it up.
But you've already moved far ahead with this.
Far ahead, right? Okay.
So I would like to draw you back.
Okay.
If you
Yes, please. Yes, please. Go on.
Because I think I know where you're going.
Yes,
with this.
Go on. Okay.
So what I'm going to say is a deep secret of the Gita. The only asura you need to fear is the one within yourself. That's our first lesson from the Gita. I'm not saying that there are no asuras out there. There are, but that's later. No, we'll come to that hill later. First, the asura within yourself. That's the only asura you need to be worried about. And this asura exists in so many forms and guises. Your ambition, personal ambition, without which most people can't work, can't run a business. If you want to do business the way of the Gita, we must remember that. If you want to apply the Gita to your business, then you have to conquer these asuras. Actually, it's one asura, really, ego, which has all these multiple manifestations. And each one we have to understand, we have to identify within ourselves. In the subtlest and smallest movements within ourselves, we have to catch the asura, and then we have to thoroughly, robustly eliminate them. Catch, identify, catch it, eliminate it, ruthlessly and repeatedly, because it will come again and again. These are deep-seated in our nature. So you have to do that many times over, but finally you will succeed, because that is the yuddha. That is the battle. So finally all that will be gone. Once your inner asuras are gone, and you've opened yourself completely within yourself to the Supreme Presence within you, to Krishna, then you ask for Krishna's blessing and protection. That's very important. Most of us cannot do that. We have this mental ideal that we want to do that. We cannot. But while you're running a business, and that involves the real money, real world objectives, and even more importantly, if you're running a country, for instance, if you're running, these are real things there. So it's very difficult for a person, especially leader, to say that Krishna, is in your hands, you protect me. Very difficult, because the ego stands in the way. What happens if it's not real? What happens if Krishna doesn't protect me? Finally, I don't know. But the way of the Gita and business means you have to. You don't have a choice. You don't take it on yourself, because that is how the ego will grow in you. You open yourself to Krishna and says, protect me against all asuric influences outside as I cleanse them within. It's a two-way thing. You have to keep cleansing the asuras within. So it has to be that concrete, that Krishna is with me and within me. And if I really leave it to him, he will protect, he will guide. When that, this is called Shraddha in Sanskrit, when that Shraddha comes to you, that he will protect me, he will guide me, because I live for him, I work for him. When that relationship is established, then nothing can harm you. Nothing. He who disturbs none and can be disturbed by none. That's the equilibrium that you reach. That's the way of the Gita. Actually feel Krishna speaking through you, Krishna working through you, Krishna willing through you. You feel another presence, vaster than yours, flowing through you, doing everything through you, moving you, moment to moment. You feel that. It's not belief. It's not belief. Belief is all theoretical. This is practical experience. So who are you? You're not working. You have to do something which has to be done. In Gita, we call it kartavyam karma. Therefore, leave the outcome to that or to him who's doing it through you. You relax, you chill, and go on doing what he's doing through you. Yes, only thing, keep sharpening your faculties and your skills, because excellence, that's the first principle. So keep sharpening yourself.
Do you have to sharpen, or would Krishna will through you?
You have to see the clouding, the confusion always comes. So you're doing this work, and okay, let's take an example. You get disappointed. Suddenly, a cloud has come between you and that shining radiance that you call the divine within. What is that divine within? The shining radiance, the peace, the harmony, the force of truth. That is what we are talking about. Suddenly something comes between that, and it's because you were expecting something, therefore you're disappointed. But learning to take success and failure as things that happen in In the great web of the sansar, these things happen. Success, failure, failure, success. What does it matter? As long as you're doing what you have to do perfectly. So that's called keep yourself sharp. That's what I mean when I say keep yourself polished, keep yourself sharp. Don't let these clouds come. Don't get confused. That's most important. Don't get confused. If you feel disappointment, look deep into your disappointment. Why are you feeling disappointment? You'll feel there. You will see your confusion there. And all disappointment comes from expectation. Once we are free of expectation, we are more or less sailing after that. Because then what can this? I have no expectation, therefore I cannot be disappointed. I have no hope, therefore I cannot be in despair. I look forward to nothing, therefore I can lose nothing. And there's nothing in this world I can gain, therefore there's nothing in this world I can lose. Why? Who can say these things? He or she who has realized that within himself or herself. But that's the Gita.
Yeah.
Is it still practical?
Sure.
Yes, it is.
No, it is. It is beautiful. And I try doing nothing, but hard to know when you finish. So, on that note, Partho, thank you.
Thank you.